You've been told your whole life that buying a house is the smartest financial decision you'll ever make, that it's the cornerstone of the American dream, that renting is just throwing money away. But what if everything you believed about homeownership was carefully constructed to benefit everyone except you? What if the wealthiest people understand something about real estate that the rest of us were never taught? Here's something that might surprise you. Many millionaires don't own the homes they live in. They rent. And before you think that's insane, consider this. The average American spends roughly 30% of their income on housing, while the financially independent often spend less than 15%. They're not being cheap, they're being strategic. Because here's the truth nobody wants you to know. Your house isn't making you rich. It's keeping you poor. Let's start with where this dream came from. The idea that every person should own a single-family home with a white picket fence didn't appear out of nowhere. It was sold to you. For decades, powerful organizations, including the National Association of Realtors, which recently faced a billion-dollar judgment for corrupt practices, have marketed home ownership as the only measure of success. But step back for a moment and ask yourself, why is this the dream? In most of the world, people don't live this way. It's uniquely American, and it's uniquely profitable to banks, realtors, and mortgage lenders. Think about how the system works. You go to a real estate agent and say you want to buy a house. Their first question isn't about what you need, it's about how much you make. Then they send you to a bank which asks the same question before offering to lend you the absolute maximum amount they think you can handle. Notice what's happening here. You're not buying from a position of strength, you're stretching yourself to the breaking point. The bank wants you to borrow as much as possible because that's how they make money. The realtor wants you to buy the most expensive house because their commission depends on it. Nobody in this equation is incentivized to tell you the truth, that you're about to trap yourself. Here's what happens next. You find a house at the top of your budget. Maybe it costs 5 or even 10 times your annual salary. Decades ago, houses cost around 2.5 times what people earned. Your grandparents could buy a home, put down 20%, and still have their monthly payments be less than 30% of their income. Today, people are putting down 3%, sometimes less, and their housing costs consume 40, 50, even 60% of what they make. But the cultural messaging hasn't changed. You're still told this is normal, that it's what responsible adults do. So you buy the house, and suddenly you're not just paying a mortgage, you're paying property taxes that increase every year. You're paying insurance that seems to climb no matter what. You're discovering that the roof needs replacing. That's $20,000. The septic system fails. There's another $25,000. The water heater breaks. The HVAC needs servicing. You want to update the kitchen because the one that came with the house feels outdated. Before you know it, you're spending money you didn't budget for on problems you didn't anticipate. And unlike rent, which stays fixed for the term of your lease, these costs are variable and unpredictable.
Meanwhile, all that money you put into the down payment, all that cash you spent on closing costs and renovations, it's gone. It's not earning anything, it's sitting in your walls. If you had invested that same money in the stock market, it would be growing, compounding, working for you while you slept. But instead, it's locked away in an asset that might appreciate or might not, depending on factors entirely outside your control. Because here's another myth you've been sold, that real estate always goes up. It doesn't. People seem to forget what happened in 2008 when entire neighborhoods lost half their value. They forget that location matters more than timing. If you bought a house in San Francisco 30 years ago, you're sitting pretty. If you bought in Detroit, not so much. And here's the twist. San Francisco is facing serious challenges now, while Detroit is experiencing a renaissance. Who's to say that in 20 years the script won't be completely flipped? Real estate is not a guaranteed win. Even when your house does increase in value, you're probably not making the profit you think you are, because there are phantom costs, the hidden expenses that nobody talks about, closing costs when you buy, realtor commissions when you sell, the interest you paid on your mortgage over 30 years, the property taxes, the maintenance, the repairs, the time you spent at Home Depot, the opportunity cost of what that down payment could have earned elsewhere. When you add all of that up, it's entirely possible to sell your house for more than you paid and still lose money. But nobody runs these numbers. They just see the bigger sale price and think they won. And then there's leverage, the idea that you can put down $20,000 and control a $100,000 asset, amplifying your gains. That's true, but leverage works both ways. If your house drops 10% in value, you don't just lose 10% of your equity, you can be completely wiped out. People love to talk about leverage on the way up. They go silent about it on the way down. Let's talk about what homeownership really costs you beyond money. It costs you flexibility. Imagine you're in your 20s or 30s and your career is taking off. Someone offers you an incredible opportunity in another city, maybe even another country. If you're renting, you finish your lease and go. If you own a house, you're stuck. You have to sell, which takes time and costs a fortune and commissions and fees. Or you become an accidental landlord, managing a property from across the country, dealing with tenants and repairs and all the headaches that come with it. Flexibility, especially when you're young and your career is in flux, is invaluable. A house takes that away from you. It also costs you time. Homeowners spend their weekends mowing lawns, fixing leaky faucets, repainting rooms, and shopping for furniture to fill rooms they didn't even need. Renters spend their weekends living. If something breaks, they text their landlord. They don't lose entire Saturdays to home improvement projects they never wanted to do in the first place. Time is the one resource you can never get back, and homeownership devours it. Now, some of you are thinking, but what about the tax deductions? Yes, you can deduct mortgage interest from your taxes, but here's the problem. You're spending money you otherwise wouldn't spend just to save a fraction of it. You don't spend $1 to save a dime. And since the tax laws changed in 2018, those deductions are even less valuable than they used to be. Most people don't even know which deductions apply to them. They just repeat what they've heard.
Here's the part that really irks me. The phrase, renting is throwing money away. By that logic, eating at a restaurant is throwing money away because the food doesn't last. Renting a car on vacation is throwing money away. But we don't say that because we understand we're paying for value. So why do we accept it when it comes to housing? Because someone invented that phrase and it stuck. It became part of the culture. And now people feel genuine shame about renting even when it can be the smarter financial choice. Consider the actual mathematics. In many high-cost metropolitan areas, the monthly expense of owning far exceeds the cost of renting an equivalent property. Take a typical scenario in a city like Seattle or Boston. A condo that rents for $3,000 might cost $7,500 to own when you factor in the mortgage, property taxes, HOA fees, insurance, and maintenance reserves. That's a $4,500 monthly difference. Over a decade, investing that difference in a diversified portfolio could potentially generate more wealth than the equity gained through home ownership. And you'd have complete liquidity and flexibility the entire time. No surprise repair bills, no weekend trips to Home Depot, just living life and building wealth. The truth is, in high-cost cities like New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, renting is often the smarter financial move. But you'll never hear that from a realtor because their paycheck depends on you believing otherwise. So when does buying a house make sense? It makes sense when you plan to stay in one place for at least 5 to 10 years because you need that time to spread out the massive transaction costs of buying and selling. It makes sense when your total housing costs, mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance, everything will be less than 25 to 30% of your gross income. It makes sense when you've saved at least 20% for a down payment, not because you literally have to put that much down, but because it proves to yourself that you can save consistently, something you'll need to do as a homeowner. And it makes sense when you're okay with the value going down, because you're buying a home to live in, not as an investment. Notice what's missing from that list? Pressure from your parents, peer pressure from friends, the belief that you're a failure if you don't own property. Those things don't matter. What matters is whether buying a house aligns with your financial goals and your life. Because here's what the wealthy understand. Your house is not an asset that makes you rich. It's an expense. It might be an expense worth having, like a nice car or a great vacation, but it's still an expense. Real wealth comes from owning assets that generate income, stocks, businesses, investments that grow while you sleep. Your home, it just sits there, costing you money. If you want to build wealth, avoid debt, live on less than you earn, and invest the surplus. That's it. That's the simple path. But if you load yourself up with a massive mortgage, you're dragging a weight behind you every single day. You can still build wealth that way, but it's going to be a whole lot harder.
The system is designed to make you feel like you need to buy a house to be successful, to be an adult, to be worthy. But the system isn't designed for your benefit. It's designed to profit off you. The banks, the realtors, the mortgage industry, they all win when you buy. The question is, do you?